Section 7.7 is simple and compound interest. I can calculate interest earned and account balances. People buy bonds as a way to earn money. We talk about savings bonds sometimes. Grandmas will get them, or you'll get them for awards or things like that, as a way to save some money. So the amount of money earned or paid for the use of money is called interest. Banks give you interest for borrowing your money when you deposit there. Credit cards, for example, or loan agencies charge you interest because you took their money now and are using it. So interest is the amount of money earned or paid for the use of money. The amount of money deposited or borrowed is the principal, and that's the amount that we start off with. Interest that is earned or paid only on the principal is called simple interest. And the percent of the principal earned or paid each year is the annual interest rate. Simple interest, I, is given by the formula I equals P times R times T. P is our principal, or the original amount. R is that annual interest rate, which we put in as a decimal. That's important. And T is the time in years. So make sure that we have that in years. In example 1, we're going to find the interest earned after 2 years for a $1,500 bond earning 4% simple interest per year. So because we're talking about simple interest and we're looking for the interest, we're going to use the formula I equals P times R times T. Our principal is the amount we originally started off with. Our rate is our interest rate as a percent, but we enter it as a decimal. So we get rid of our percent sign, by moving 2 places away from it. 0.04, and our time is in terms of years, and here it already is. And we're looking for find the interest. We multiply here, and we get $120. So the amount of interest earned was $120. Feel free to pause here and give this a try if you'd like. A $1,000 bond earns 6% simple annual interest. What is the interest earned after 4 years? So again, we're talking about simple interest and we're looking for interest. So the formula that we're going to use is interest equals principal times rate times time. $1,000 is what we started with. That's our principal. Our rate we put in as a decimal. So we get rid of our percent sign and move 2 places. 0.06. Time in years. And we're looking for interest, which is I. Here we can go ahead and multiply 1,000 times 0.06 times 4, and we get $240. That's how much interest was made. When an account earns interest, the interest is added to the account. So the amount of money we put in plus the interest earned. The balance, A for account balance, of an account that earns simple annual interest is the sum of the principal and its interest. And remember, interest equals PRT. So here we have our principal amount plus principal times rate times time. Or just like we were doing yesterday, where we took 100% plus or minus, depending on what we were doing, our new rate. Okay, same idea here. We just need to remember that we put them in as a decimal. So we get rid of our percent sign and move it 2 places. So this 1 here really just represents 100% of our principal plus our rate times our time. And this right here is the formula that I'm going to use. So for balance in simple interest, we're going to use this guy. So anytime they're talking about a balance for an account and simple interest, this is the formula we're going to use. You get a summer job at a bakery. Suppose you save $1,400 of your pay and deposit it into an account that earns simple annual interest. After 9 months, the balance is $1,421. Find the annual interest rate. So again, our formula here, A equals principal times 100% of our principal, or 1, plus rate times time. Okay, we saved $1,400. That's originally our principal. The 1 always stays. Our rate is what we're looking for. Find our rate. Our time is 9 months. So 9 months out of a year, remember this needs to be in terms of year, 12 months. That reduces down to 3/4 or 0.75. And here it tells us that the balance is $1,421. So we plug in values based off the information that we have in order to find what we're looking for. And here we're looking for the rate. We are going to try and get R by itself here. And we have a couple of options. Before we can move from one side to the other, though, we need to simplify everything on the right side. So we can distribute to start with. $1,400 times 1. 1,400 times R times 0.75 here. It doesn't matter the order we have these. Remember, multiplication is commutative. We can move them around. So I can take 1,400 times 0.75 and get 1050 R. Now, I'm going to go ahead and subtract because both sides are as simple as I can get them. Oops. And divide by 1050. I'm going to get 0.02 equals R. Again, remember I have something that's positive. So to get rid of a positive, we subtract to make it 0. Now I have multiplication. I'm going to get rid of multiplication by dividing. So 0.02 is what we got for R, but we want the rate, and we're going to put that in terms of a percent. So 2 decimal places and add our percent sign. 2% there. Feel free to pause here and give these a try if you'd like. Again, we're looking for simple annual interest, and here we're looking for an account balance. So A equals principal times 1 plus rate times time. Plug in the values we know. P is 1,000. Our rate, I'm going to put it in as a decimal, so move it 2 places away. 0.025. My time is 2 years, and I'm looking for A. So here, since I don't have any variables left on the right side, I can go ahead and just multiply straight across. According to PEMDAS, we do inside of parentheses. We multiply first, add 1, and then multiply by 1,000. But most of your calculators will do this just right straight through. And here, we're going to get 1,050. On 3, same idea, simple interest, and we're talking about account balances. So A equals principal times 1 plus rate times time. A couple things to notice here, though, when we're looking at this. Here we're looking for our principal, and our time is in months. So we're looking for our principal. So this variable is going to stay. Our time is in terms of months. 6 months out of 12 total months in a year gives us time to be half of a year, or 1/2. So let's plug in what we know. A, 1424.50. 1 plus my rate as a decimal, 2 places. And my time in terms of year, 0.5. Now, to solve this, we need to simplify both sides the best that we can. On the right side, I can do what's inside my parentheses. 1 plus 0.035 times 0.05. When I multiply all that out here, I get 1.0175. Remember, that's times my P value there, my principal. To get rid of the multiplication, we're going to divide And when I divide here, I get $1,400 to be my principal. And since we're talking principal, that's going to be labeled as money. Compound interest is interest that is earned on both the principal and any interest that has been earned previously. So here, every time they calculate your interest, they add it on, and your new interest is calculated off of that total, not just the original total you put in. When an account earns interest compounded annually, the balance A is given by the formula here. A equals P times 1 plus R raised to the T power. So that's the difference here. Instead of our T being inside with our rate, it's outside as an exponent. Okay, otherwise it stays the same. So here, we know we're going to have to use this formula here for compound interest because it tells us that it was compounded annually. So we deposit $1,500 into an account that earns 2.4% interest compounded annually. Find the balance after 6 years. Again, our formula here, our account balance equals our principal times 1 plus our rate raised to the time power. Okay, $1,500 is our original amount. Then I see 2.4% interest. Remember, we enter that as a decimal. And then I see 6 years. That's my time. And it says find the balance, which is our A for account balance. When you're doing this in your calculator, if you're not sure, after you put that last parenthesis, the key on most TI-30s, which is what a lot of you have, the 2 lines, looks like this to tell us that it's an exponent key, and then type 6. It's up 1 and left 1 from the 7. And when we type that in here, we get $1,729.38. Now, you deposit $1,200 into an account that earns 3.8% interest compounded annually. And since it's compounded, we use this formula. Find the balance after 5 years. Our initial amount is our principal. Our rate we put in as a decimal, so we move it 2 places. And our time is 5 years. Again, remember, this is an exponent, not multiplication. Here, we're going to 1,445.99907. We want to round this in terms of money. So we look here. The 9 means we're going to round up. So we round up the 99 cents to a full dollar. So our account balance, $1,446. And we put the 00 there to tell that we're rounded to the nearest cent. It just happens to be an even dollar amount. And that's all I have for section 7.7.